Following the lauded Battlefield 1 announcement and poor reception of Call of Duty venturing into the distant future with Infinite Warfare, it was clear that it was time to return to the series' roots. Thankfully, Activision had predicted this occurring, although perhaps a year too late, and already had Call of Duty World War II in development. Sledgehammer Games have had their work cut out for them, having to capture the original spirit of the series and moving it forward in practically every area, from gameplay to storytelling. Let's see if some things are better left in the past. Unlike recent entries, Call of Duty plants itself firmly in reality. Players take on the role of Private Ronald Red Daniels, who is part of a platoon in the 16th Infantry Regiment during World War II. Daniels is joined by a group of soldiers who can be as humorous as they are brave. Throughout the next 2 years, the platoon ventures for the European theater, participating in famous battles like the Invasion of Normandy and the Battle of the Bulge. There's an undeniable Band of Brothers type story here, with the best in humanity coming out of everyday men put into extraordinary situations.
Or hey, maybe it's like Schrodinger's letter. You know, you don't open it, she's still your girl.
Maybe it's like Schrodinger's.
Following several years of unnecessary convoluted plots, Call of Duty World War II is a back-to-basics story that cribs various beats from some of the most renowned war movies, but doesn't necessarily chart a path of its own. That being said, it's a well-written story with dialogue that is noble and funny in equal measure, and isn't afraid to dabble in some of the darkest areas of the war. One of the more impressive plot points is Daniel's brother, who weaves into the narrative in an emotional and ultimately surprising manner. Another aspect that helps bolster the story is that there's no shortage of cutscenes. Watching it in one go feels surprisingly close to a film, and it's commendable Sledgehammer gave it so much room to breathe. Perhaps one of the largest issues with the story is that it jumps around too much, covering battles over the course of a few years.
Cut me some slack, Sergeant.
Not on your life, Private. Not on your life.
This makes it hard to connect with the characters at times because we miss out on those tender moments in between. These characters take center stage in some of the most iconic conflicts throughout the deadliest event in mankind's history. Not every battle feels properly climactic, but there's no duds to be found. Sledgehammer has had to refine the multiplayer, drawn on previous World War II Call of Duty games, as well as injecting new ideas into the formula. Divisions replaces the typical create a class system and perks. Players can select between 5 different divisions, each with their own unique skills. This is a refreshing change that makes the multiplayer all the more accessible, easily showing players which class is for them and how to best progress through it. War is the premier new multiplayer mode and brings with it exciting team-based objectives. This is one of the highest skill modes, as teams of inexperienced players will have a tough time taking much ground, but when even skills duke it out, it generally goes down to the wire. War almost feels like a multiplayer version of a single-player level and will prove a lot of fun, especially for those who like coordinating with their buddies via voice chat. The cleverest multiplayer addition is Headquarters, a central hub. There's nothing revolutionary about it, but it makes for an undeniably fun time. Much like Destiny 2, it's fun to just simply run up to a random player and start throwing emotes back and forth. This might prove to be the dark horse of the game, and hopefully will continue to be implemented and refined in future entries. Now, no Call of Duty experience would be complete these days without zombies, and Sledgehammer finally tries her hand at the mode and comes away with a winner. Nazi Zombies is perhaps the most grounded zombies mode so far, and although being about, well, Nazi zombies, it's more plausible than, say, zombies in Spaceland. Also of note is the fact that this is one of the most legitimately scary iterations yet, no doubt influenced by Condrey and Schofield's previous work on Dead Space. The zombie designs are truly horrifying, giving more incentive to dispose of them as quickly as possible, just so you don't have to see their disfigured bodies and hear their moans. There's a few gameplay tweaks here and there that make for a more refined experience, such as taking away the ability to fortify windows and increasing the amount of weaponry that can be purchased. It's yet another great outing for zombies that will no doubt consume dozens of hours of playtime. Call of Duty World War II is a fantastic game that proves that no matter the ballyhoo, Activision will ensure a superb experience is delivered. Weaving through explosive action set pieces, we are treated to the franchise's most grand story in years that doesn't revel in unnecessary convolution, although it can sometimes feel too conventional. Combined with some of the more visually realistic cutscenes yet, there's a story that deserves to be experienced, even if it doesn't quite reach the heights of the best World War II films. The many who look at Call of Duty squarely as a multiplayer experience won't be let down either. The expertly designed maps recall the glory days of mid-aughts World War II shooters while still advancing mechanics as a whole. Call of Duty World War II is a return to form for the series, and it's clear that Sledgehammer didn't cut corners conceiving it. There's nothing revolutionary here, but it's about as tight as a shooter can get, offering up several notable new features while remaining an admirable tribute to the greatest generation. And as always, if you like this review, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button. Otherwise, for everything else game related, head over to hardcoregamer.com for your fix.